In this video, I'm going to be using algeblocks to demonstrate different problems of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and factoring. The first problem I'm going to be doing is addition of two polynomials. So this is the problem I'll be using. And this will be our key. So this block here will represent h squared. This will represent h. And this will represent 1. So we're going to look at this problem in two parts. So we have our basic math with our negative and our positive side. So our first number is 4h squared. So we had said these were our h squared, so we're going to take 4 of them. And you notice that this is positive, so we are going to put 4h squared on the positive side. Next number is negative 2h squared. So these were our h's. We have 2, and they are negative, so they are going to go on the negative side. Our last number in the first part is 7, and that is also positive. So we are going to put 7 on the positive side. So that completes the first part of our two-part problem. So now we're going to look at the second part. Now we need to add 2h squared. So we know these were our h squared, and we are going to add 2 of them, but we are going to add 2 negative h squared. So they are going to go over here. Then we have our negative 5h. So 4, 5. So now we have 5. We're adding negative 5h. Then we have negative 9. So we are going to add negative 9 to our mat. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So now that we have all of our numbers on the board, we're going to look for our zero pairs. So starting with our h squared, we notice that there is 4 on the positive side and 2 on the negative side. So that means we have 2 zero pairs. So we can remove, since we're doing the same thing to each side, so it is still equal. Okay, now let's look at our h's. We only have h's on the negative side, so we don't have to do anything with those. However, our blocks that represent 1, we do have those on both the negative and the positive side. So we have 2, 4, 6, 7 on the positive, and 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the negative side. So our negative side is larger, so those will be where the remaining blocks will stay, and we will take our zero pairs. 2, 4, 6, 7. And what we do to one side, we need to do the other. 2, 4, 6, 7. So that is going to leave us with our answer. So we have 2h squared, and that's a positive 2h squared, minus 2, 4, 6, 7, h. And also on the negative side, we have minus 2. So the answer to our problem is 2h squared minus 7h minus 2. Next, we are going to take a look at a subtraction example. So this is the problem that we're going to be using for our polynomials. And here is our key. So this is going to represent n squared. This will represent n. And this will represent 1. Like the first problem, we're going to look at this in two parts. So our first part, we have a positive 3n squared. So we're going to take 2 and 3 and put that on our positive side. Now we have a negative 7n. So we are going to take 7, 4, and we're going to put those on our negative side, because that's what the problem tells us. Now we also have a negative 2 in our first part, so we're also going to put negative 2. Now, we are going to subtract here. So we need to subtract a positive 2n squared. So on our map, we do have at least 2 positive n squared. So we're going to take away 2 of those. Okay. Now we need to take away a negative 6n. So we have at least 6n on our negative side. So we're going to take away 6 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now we're going to look at our last part. We need to take away a positive 7. When we look at our map, we only have 2 on our negative side. So we are going to have to create some 0 pairs to be able to subtract a positive 7 because we do not have any single blocks on our positive side. So to do that, we need to be able to take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops. 7. We need to be able to take away 7 from the positive side. But if we add to create 0 pairs on one side, we need to do the same to the other. So we're going to take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're also going to put that on our negative side. So that way we are not changing the amount on our board because these two are 0 pairs. Now, back to our problem, we need to take away a positive 7. So 2, 4, 6, 7. We're going to take those away. After completing the last part of our problem, we are left with our answer, which is we have a positive n squared, we have a negative n, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a negative 9. So that gives us our answer to this problem. Next, we are going to look at a multiplication problem. However, for our multiplication problem, I will need to switch mats. So we're going to go from our basic mat to our quadrant mat. We have our track that we can place on the mat. Our problem for multiplication, I'll leave this right here. And we're going to go over our key real quick. So this represents x squared. This is going to represent x. And this is going to represent 1. Okay. So when we look at this problem, here we are given our factors. So what we are looking for is our product of these factors. So we are going to start with our negative x plus 1. So we are going to start horizontal to vertical. So we will have, so this represents x, so this is on the negative track, so the negative x, and we're going to add 1, okay? Now we are going to take 2x, and that is positive, going the other way, and minus 5. We'll go down here because it is negative. Now we have our factors on the map. So what we need to do is figure out our product of the factor. Well, we know 2 x's multiplied together will give you x squared, okay? And we have 2 of those, so we are going to put 2 of those there and fill that in. Okay. Now we are going to look here. So these are our x's, and this is a 1 single block. So if we take x and multiply it by 1, you're going to still have x. And when we do that a second time, we're still going to have x, okay? So now we're going to look at our other quadrants. Go here. So same thing. X times 1 is going to be x. Now we have 5 of these, so we're multiplying x by 1, not 1, but 5 times. Okay, now we have our single blocks that will be multiplying by each other. So those will stay as single blocks. And we have that also 5 times. Okay. So now we can see our factors here and our product. Okay. So now let's put this into a polynomial. So we have 2x squared here. Okay. Now we have a positive 2x and a positive 5x. So that's going to give us a positive 7x. Now we have 5 single blocks here, but it is in the negative quadrant. So that is going to be a negative 5. So these factors, when multiplied together, will give us our product of 2x squared plus 7x minus 5. Okay, so we are still using our quadrant mat, and we are going to look at division. So this is going to be our problem. And again, our key, this will be x squared. This will represent x, and this will represent 1. So first, we're just going to look at this. Okay, so we have an x squared. So we're going to take an x squared and put that on our positive. And then we have a positive 5x. So we're going to put that on there too. Okay. And then we have a negative 14. And so we have our 14 on the negative side. So, and we are going to divide this by x plus 7. So we are going to look on our vertical, because this is our product, and we're dividing it by this vertical factor. So our answer will be our horizontal factor. So first, let's look at the vertical factor. So we have x plus 7. So x plus 7, so that's one of our factors. So if we look at this, we know that these are the same, and if we put these two side by side, these are the same. So we know that's how they have to line up. So how could we get this to line up correctly? So we're going to start with our x squared here in the corner. Okay. Now we know that these all line up here. So we have that. And we do notice there is some extra here that don't line up, but we're not going to worry about that yet. So we are going to look here. So if this is 7, so if we have 14, this is the same as 7 twice. Now we know for this to work, everything has to line up. And we have a couple gaps here. So we're going to add some 0 pairs. So this x here is going to have to line up with 2 other x's here, because we have 2 rows. And we also have 2 extra here, which will also need 2 x's over here, which gives us our 0 pairs. So that works out. Okay. So that gives us our vertical, which is what we know. So now let's figure out what we don't know. So we have 1x here. We know x multiplied by what gives us x squared. Also x. So we're going to add an x here. Okay. So we have an x here, but we know that an x can't go here because then that would have to be an x squared. So we know that this 1 times x is still x. Okay, so this gives us our horizontal factor, which is our answer. So for our problem, our answer is going to be x minus 2 because we have positive x and we have a negative 2. So this is our answer, which gives us our second factor. So if we were to do a multiplication problem with x minus 2 and x plus 7 like we did previously, we will get our product. For the last problem I'm going to show you, we are going to take a look at factoring. So we are given our polynomial and we need to find the factors of the polynomial. So again, we're going to go over our key. It's going to represent x squared. It's going to represent x. And this will represent 1. So let's take a look at our problem here. So we have 2x squared. So we're going to put our 2x squared on the positive side. Now we have negative 7x. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So we're just going to put those on the negative side for right now. Just going to try to get everything on the board. And now we also have a negative 9. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the first thing we're going to do is get all our blocks on the board. Okay. So I'm factoring to get our x squared. We're going to need 2 x's to multiply together. So I'm going to stick these right here in the corner like this. Okay. So if we can assume, because we need to get an x squared, best bet would probably be to put these here because they line up. Now we're going to put, now we know that these line up on top of each other. Line this up. Now we have 2 left over. But we also have a gap here. See? So we're going to add 2 here. Now if we add 2 here that are not part of the problem, we also need to add 2 here as part of our 0 pair. Okay. So now let's look at our factors. So we said 2 x's together are going to give us x squared. So we're going to put those right here. Now I did run out of these x blocks, so we're going to use this. We're going to use our imagination a little bit, pretend that's a block, okay? And then we're going to need to put another one of those right here, okay? Now, we have this spot here. So we have to fill that in with 1. Now we're gonna fill in, so this gives us our vertical. So now let's finish our horizontal. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're gonna fill that in with what lines up there. It's gonna be our 9 singles. Because if we multiply 1 by x, we're gonna get x. 1 by 1, we're gonna get 1. X by x, we're going to get x squared. X by 1, we're going to get x. So I'm going to fill that in. Oops. Now, we're going to take a look at what our factors are now. So, we have x plus 1, because these are both in the positive. So we're going to write x plus 1. Now what about our second one here? So we have 2x here on the positive, so we're going to do 2x. Now our 9. We have 9 singles over here, but these are on the negative side, so that's going to be minus 9. It's not a very good 9. There we go. So that gives us our factors for the polynomial, which is x plus 1 and 2x minus 9.